welcome to another card making video. My name is Britta Swiderski and today we're going to be celebrating World Card Making Day by making a really fun boy birthday card. I know coming up with birthday cards for guys can be really challenging for some people, especially if you tend to do a lot of bright, happy colors. Might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you're going to make a birthday card. But I want to show you a pretty easy way to do it using some Lawn Fawn stuff and some Distress ink. And we're going to be using Distress ink as the main means of coloring for this card. So I'm pretty excited. Going to be using this stamp set called Critters in the Past from Lawn Fawn. I absolutely love this set and think it's perfect for any guy card. Honestly, I would absolutely love a card with it too. So it's a really great gender neutral animal set, and pretty much any animal will work for this type of card. So I'm going to start out with the smooth side of my Distress watercolor cardstock, just because when I do Distress ink techniques, I really like to have a thicker paper for them to lie on. And basically what we're going to be doing is making our own cardstock and then stamping the images on top of them. So I actually have the big Distress ink pads and the minis out just because I want to show you can do this with both. I actually am going to use the mini ones for this, for the colors that I have minis of, because I really like that you can get in such small areas with the mini. So I'm basically just going to do like a fourth of this card in each of the colors, and each one of my dinosaurs is going to be a different cool color. I chose to use cool tones on this card, so blues, greens, and purples, because it's always a good starting point for a manly card. And I love to include purple because purple balances things out nicely. I don't have a mini pad for gathered twigs, but that's okay. I'm just going to use a piece of scratch paper on the back here so that I have plenty of room. I'm going to add in that brown so I can have a couple palm trees. And I will need a little bit more green than what I have, so I'm going to grab a scrap of watercolor paper and add some more green onto that. Alright, now you can just let this dry. Since I'm using fairly new ink pads, these minis are really new and really fresh. This is going to take a couple minutes to dry, so I'm just going to speed it up by using a heat gun. Because I have, as you can see, quite a bit of ink on here, but it'll make for all the more fun of a reaction when we add a little bit of water. And I totally know what you're thinking. Why on earth do you have this miniature Distress inks when you already have the full-size ones? I actually only have 4 sets of them. I just bought the 4 sets of them that I know that I like the most, because I think they're really fun and they provide a lot of different, like the different size allows you to get into different areas, and that's kind of cool. So eventually I'll probably have them all. But really, I just wanted to be able to try them out for you guys and make sure that they were a really great way to get started, because it's so much more inexpensive to purchase the entire series of Distress inks in the miniature version. So that way, if you see a few colors of Distress inks that you like, but you don't really have the full collection yet, it's always great to try them out in the minis first. Build your collection that way, then you can do a whole bunch of different techniques, learn to love them, and then maybe purchase full sizes of the colors that you really love and use the most often, and eventually the whole set if you want to. But the minis are just a great way to get into Distress ink. So if you haven't picked up multiple colors of Distress ink yet, I highly recommend you just pick up a couple of the miniature packs, and then you can really try and experiment with the different things. My No Stress Distress Inks class has a ton of ideas on how to use Distress ink. If you want to go over and look at that, I'll put a link on the screen here and also in the description below, because I just really love Distress ink. So for our next little part here, we're going to just add some water droplets onto this Distress ink. That's really great thing about Distress ink is that it reacts with water. So I'm going to spray my fingertips and then flick onto my paper. And we're going to get some nice texture and reaction here. And this will look really great because we're stamping onto it. We don't want it to be a plain, boring cardstock background. That's why we're using ink. Alright, so you can either stop now and let it air dry, use a heat gun, or you can add some pearlized water splashes on here as well. I really like adding both types because it gives you two different depths of dots. So I'm just going to grab my pearlized water and do the exact same thing. I'm going to hit it with a heat gun really fast before I add the pearlized water because I don't want these existing kind of blobs and texture to combine with the pearlized water. I'd like to keep my dots kind of separate. So I'm just going to hit it with a heat gun really fast to dry off just the main part of the water. So here's my perfect pearls mixed with water, and you can see it's a fairly potent mixture, but you can get so much out of one jar of perfect pearls. I love it. By the way, I'll have all the supplies that I use in this video in the description below on YouTube as well as on my blog post. Alright, so I've definitely added a lot of extra pearlescent shimmer now, and I'm just going to zap this with the heat gun again to get everything ready to go, and we can actually start stamping our wonderful little dinosaurs on here. Alright, so I've already grabbed the dinosaurs that I'd like to use, and I laid them out on my paper here just to know that they'll fit. You always want to make sure before you commit to a dinosaur in one color because, you know, this guy's the biggest. If he didn't fit on the green, I would have had to make him a different color. So, going to do that, and really the coolest part of this is since you made your own pattern, you get to choose exactly what part of the pattern goes where on the dinosaur. So you can really make it look realistic. I mean, well, to me, this really looks like dinosaur skin, and I love that. And I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink for this. And remember here with the tree, you only need to get the trunk portion. And you can even use your piece of scrap paper to kind of mask off the other color areas if you want to have multiple trees going on here. Now I'll just use some water to clean off my stamps, and then I'm going to cut out all of my dinosaurs. So I have all of my pieces cut out and ready to put on my card. I also made a note card out of Hero Arts cardstock. I love it because the inside's white, so you can always use just a regular black pen to write on it. And I'm going to make my background for the dinosaurs out of some vellum because I really like this orange color. I kind of wanted to show through. And since the dinosaurs are so intricate and already have a lot of pattern on them, I want to make sure that they can really stand up against the background. So I don't want to make it crazy. I think I just want the foreground to be some simple gray dots. Kind of just have it come across the bottom a little bit wavy like that. So I'm just going to trim off about 1 inch, and then I'll be able to just cut an edge into it. And I'm using the Let's Polka paper pack from Lawn Fawn. I actually cut it into a 2-inch strip here, and now I'm going to cut hills into it. So I want these to be relatively flat hills. So I'm just going to use this one, and then this one will fit right behind it. And then you should be able to use them on your background just to make some really simple hills. I'm going to color the edges with this black marker just to make them stand out a little bit, add a little bit of contrast. I also did this to all of my cutout dinosaurs and trees as well, just to make sure that the white doesn't show through where I cut it. It also makes it look like you did a really, really good job of cutting it out. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and draw kind of a thin line around here so it looks like we stamped these hills. Now I'm just going to adhere my small piece first down onto my vellum. And then I'm going to use a little bit of foam adhesive to adhere the bigger hill. And I'm actually doing this entire last part upside down because I can see through the back, so it actually provides some pretty good insight into what's covering what, making sure that my foreground doesn't take up too much of my background. And then you can just add adhesive into the corner once you know where the corner is. I'll just trim off these little pieces of excess here, and then I'll just start putting dinosaurs on my card. It occurs to me that I might not end up using all the dinosaurs, but that's okay, I can always save some for a future project. And then instead of using one of the phrases that came with the set, although wish big would be nice, or your dynamite would be kind of cute, I'm actually going to use just a straight up happy birthday. This is the year 1 set from Lawn Fawn. This is actually my favorite happy birthday stamp, and I'm going to do something that might be unthinkable to some of you and cut it in half. can always put it back together. Just be careful. Just don't cut the stamp part and you'll be fine. The part that actually stamps and connects with the paper. Perfect. Now I can line these up on a block next to each other and have a long skinny sentiment, or just stack them and they'll fit right back together right where they belong. Perfect. Stamp that onto this little scrap piece of paper that I have here. Alright, now I can go ahead and adhere everything together. Vellum is really easy to adhere to cards when you have stuff on it because you can put all the adhesive right behind the objects and you can see through it, so what gets better than that? I'm actually going to use glue dots underneath my objects because since I won't be able to adhere any part of the top, I want to be able to get as strong of a grab on the top as I can. I will be able to put some adhesive behind the banner though, so I should be able to get some right there. Then I can just use plain old dot adhesive on the bottom. And then I'm just going to cut a little banner end into this guy here. It'll feel more like it's flying and has a real place in the sky there. And I'll adhere it with some foam adhesive. And I can stick a glue dot right behind the sentiment just to adhere that vellum down in the background. And there we have a wonderful masculine birthday card that doesn't go too over the top by putting wood on it. Well, I mean, we have trees, but you know what I mean. And got to use some really cool stamps. And now if you want to go back and you could add googly eyes to these guys, depends on the age range that you're really going for. I decided to keep it simple and pun-free because this card's for my little brother. And although he's my little brother, he's turning 20. So I think he'll really like this. I hope you give some distress ink techniques a try this week. Get those inks out, get nice and inky with your hands, and I hope you have a fantastic day and a World Card Making Day if you're watching this on World Card Making Day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time on another tutorial video.